Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 121. The child is the father of the man. And I don't know if you've ever heard of William Wordsworth, but he wrote a song, "My Heart Leaps Up," and he states, my heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow on the sky. So was it when my life began? So is it now I am a man? So be it when I shall grow old or let me die. The child is the father of the man. And I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. The child is the father of the man. Now, I don't exactly know what this means, and I'm not a great literary genius at all. But I do know that a lot of parents are not particularly good with their children. A lot of parents aren't great role models. A lot of parents don't do the right things. They suffer from addiction, self-abuse. Fighting all the time. They're fiscally irresponsible. They don't provide well for the children. They don't look out for the spiritual lives of the children. They don't even look out for the spiritual lives for themselves. So what do you do with these kids, right? The child is the father of the man. What the kids need to do, if they're listening right now, and I hope that they are, those types of children that they're looking at their parents wondering what they do now, is the child is the father of the man. Meaning that you just have to realize what's right and wrong. That's all you have to do. And if you realize that your parents are leading you the wrong way, then you actually decide, well, I'm going to change things in my family line. That like my family tree will now be changed forever because I've decided to change the family tree. And so what the last line of the poem is, bound each to each by natural piety. What you do is you actually develop natural piety, essentially a religious life, a moral life, an ordered life, and that you actually start leading the family from below. Now, the key is not to drive the family and actually lead it and not tell your parents and not be obedient to your parents. The key is to be better than what your parents are. And if you think about it, that's the only natural course of events. It's the only logical way to go. Because if you're like 99% of people with lousy parents, which is like 99% of people, what you're going to do is you're going to grow up and you're going to repeat the same mistakes they made. And then, children out of wedlock, fornication, lousy with money, violent behavior. And if you just keep repeating the same mistakes, then what is the point of life? Like your parents don't design your life and then you follow their order and plans. Your parents give you life and they give you some safety and security, and then you can go make your own life. The only logical course of action against trials and tribulations and difficulties and hardships, if your parents put you in them, is to rise up and change that behavior, to actually become better and become bigger, and to create a life that you will not pass on to your children like your parents passed on to you, meaning that you're actually going to become a pious, moral, courageous, virtuous person. You're going to do it in spite of your parents, not because of your parents. And if you do that, honestly, your parents will look at you with grandeur, and everybody else will look around you with grandeur as well. I mean, you look at these stories of these guys that came out of the ghetto with no father figure, and they rose up and they became great heroes for people. Oh, those stories are wonderful. Now, if you claim that you came from a tragic family life, and then you rise up and you do something noble, then you too will be a great story. You too will be the one that kind of overcame the odds, the Rocky Balboa's the world, or whatever else, and went on to win the world, do what is right. And that is commendable, and that's something worthwhile. And so I guess I wanted to say to you kids out there, or young teenagers in particular, if your parents annoy you and they don't do the right thing, your key is to lead by example. You don't have to follow their lead if they're asking you to do immoral things, if they're participating in evil. You can actually separate yourselves from that. Good thing to do would be, get out of the house and go to church. Get out of the house and pray in front of the Lord, in front of the tabernacle. But then lead the family from the bottom up. Become virtuous, become pious, become moral, and try to reset that family tree so that another generation doesn't fall into the exact same trap. Now that's one thing you do. Or the other thing you could do is say, my family was terrible, oh, I lived such a tragic life and I can do no better because of my parents. That's baloney, it's a crappy excuse, I don't believe it. And I'll tell you what, I'd never accept it, ever. So, well, anyway, I guess that's it. This is Catholic Dad, making you think about it. If you're a child with difficult parents, ones that are not particularly moral, become better than they were. Pass on something greater to your children, and don't sit there and act like you're the victim or act like you've been oppressed by your parents, because you haven't. You know, you're alive. You got a brain, you got air in your lungs. It's all you need. Move on and become great. Become absolutely great. Become somebody's hero. And you know, that's the thing. How do you become somebody's hero? By serving them, right? So if you're inclined to marriage and you're a male from a hard family or a female from a hard family, you cling to another person and you serve them your entire life. And then you make children, and then you make families. And do it in a religious life, do it in an ordered life, do it in a structured life with morality. I prefer the Catholic Church, and I think probably everybody should too, and hopefully everybody will one day as well. But nonetheless, you don't have to repeat the sins of your parents. And so this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. God bless.